Okay, so tonight we are learning the teachings of Tzadok Parshat Veyechi. This is a very exciting Parshat. This is the last Parsha of Sefer Bereshit, and so it's this grand finale of the whole book of Bereshit. And it's very interesting. This is a bit of anticlimactic. It's a bit anticlimactic in the sense that this is the beginning of something not so good. That the story ends. They were coming to Egypt, and that's how the parsha starts. Veyechi Yaakov be'eretz Mitzrayim 17 shana. The Yaakov lived in Egypt for the end of his life, this last 17 years of his life, and we're going to learn today that really the message of Parshat Veyechi, according to Tzadok, is why sometimes life needs to not be so fun. That sometimes, if life is always going to be fun, if life is always going to be roses, then you're actually not going to get where you need to get. And why sometimes life needs to be tough, and it's just something we have to deal with. We have to just accept the fact that if you want to make it in life, then it's not going to be easy. So he starts with a comment from the Zohar. The Zohar Kodesh says that Veyechi Yaakov be'eretz Mitzrayim, that his real living, the fact that we can say that he lived life to the fullest, that was only in Egypt, and that is to say that everything that he lived until now, being in Israel or being everywhere else, so there wasn't really living life to the fullest, and that's why before it only says Vayeshev, and over here is the first time it says Veyechi. Okay, and the question is that doesn't make sense that he used to be in Israel and now he is in Egypt, and that Israel is the holiest place in the world, and Egypt is one of the most impure places in the world. That the talks about it is full of magic, it's full of sorcery, it's full of idolatry, it's full of sexual immorality, and it's considered the most impure place. And how could it be that that's where he found his greatness? And so it says that this is where he got his Veyechi Yaakov be'eretz Mitzrayim. So the pasuk says that Vayehi Yemei Yaakov shnei chayev, that mea shanam ve'esrim ve'arba'im ve'sheva shanim, that it goes through his life, and it says that through these 17 years, that this is what gave life retroactively to the rest of his life. That because at the end of his life he was in completion, then that's what made everything else good. And so there's a very basic thing that we learn from here, and that is we say it this pasuk in Eshes Chayil. It says Vatischak liya macharam, that the woman of valor, so she laughs on the last day. And the secret to winning life, the secret to being a success in life, isn't that you have a great life from beginning to end. It's that he who laughs last laughs best. That the thing is that you need to end up end up good. That if it ends good, that all is well that ends well. Right? You heard that expression? Mm-hmm. All is well that ends well. That if the end is good, so then then the whole story is retroactively going to be good. And there's this teaching from Rabbi Arlo. He said about this that we have to know about life. That there's ups and downs. We have to accept the fact that there's ups and downs, and sometimes we're going to be conquering our Yetzer Hara, sometimes we're going to be successful, sometimes we're going to be making the right decisions, sometimes we're going to be getting to the place we want to get, and sometimes we're not. And sometimes he's going to be beating us up, and sometimes we're going to be withering on the ground and gasping for breath, and it's going to be full of blood, and our teeth are broken, and that's okay, as long as we get up. The point is that on the last day, that we're going to beating him up. Okay, that's what we should be thinking when we're sprawled out on the ground and we're suffering and we're not living life the way we want to be living, the way we ought to be living. So the thing is to remember that this is not the end. There's going to be another chapter at the end of the day. We are going to be successful, and to keep that in mind, that the most important thing is that we're going to be laughing on the last day. Okay, the end is the thing that's koveh. The end is the thing that defines. That there's lashon Chazal, hakol holich achar achitum. That everything is dependent on the way it is at the end. Okay, that the end of something is what defines it, and it actually has the power to redirect, to redefine, and to give a new expression to the things that already existed. That the end can retroactively redefine what happened before. So this is what's happening. The end of his life is the tikkun. The end of his life is his coming to his greatness, and the crazy thing is that how could it be that the place that he comes to his greatness, the thing that gives retroactively, defining well the entirety of his life, this is happening in the impure land of Egypt. Tzadok notes that we find another thing which is similarly very crazy, and that is that the greatness of Torah, the greatness of the wisdom of Torah, the greatness of Torah Sheba'al Peh. So where is it? Where did it come about? Came about in Babylonia. Came about outside of Israel. And everything that we have from Torah Sheba'al Peh is from the Talmud Bavli, it's from the Babylonian Talmud. That is where the sages came to the greatest degree of wisdom, the greatest degree of understanding of the Torah, that specifically in Babylonia. And that's something that doesn't make sense. It's something that defies logic. That you would think that if you're in the holier place, then you're going to be smarter. You're going to be able to come to a deeper understanding, and that we have the midrash that says that Avira da'ara machkim, that the air of Israel gives wisdom. Rabbi Nachman. So he had a huge struggle to come to Israel, and after he came to Israel, then his understanding of Torah came to a different level, and to the point that he said that all of his good Torahs were only after he came to Israel. It's something switched, something it was a switch in his brain that he was able to come to a deeper understanding of Torah, and yet we see that the greatness of our understanding of Torah, of the oral Torah, of Torah Sheba'al Peh, of everything that we look at, of Shas, of Chazal. So it's all in Babylonia, it's all outside of Israel, and that to me doesn't make any sense. So I wouldn't say to explain this, but to understand this a little bit, maybe the opposite, to explain this without understanding it, is that there's a very interesting thing. At the beginning of the Parshat Veyechi, so Rashi points out, is Parsha is a stuma. Okay, what does that mean? That in the Sefer Torah, so it's written in different paragraphs. Okay, meaning that at the beginning of a new topic, so there's a space. There's a space, and sometimes that's how they have paragraphs in the Torah. So sometimes there's different kinds of paragraphs. It doesn't matter, but every single parsha is lots of parshas have many paragraphs within the parsha, and sometimes it's just the parsha, just from beginning to the end of the parsha. That's a paragraph, but every parsha is its own paragraph, with one exception. There's one exception. The entire Torah, there's one exception. There's only one parsha that doesn't get a new paragraph, and that's our parsha. This parsha is Veyechi. The parsha is Veyechi. If you were looking in the Sefer Torah, so it looks like it's the middle of a paragraph. Okay, which is strange. So Chazal note this, and they say parsha is a stuma. That it's literally stuma means stuck. I mean it's confined. Okay, that instead of having space, it's shtup in. So why is it stuma? So Chazal have an interesting take on this. There's different explanations. One commentary in Chazal is that shenistimu einei v'libim Moshe Yisrael mikesh yashibud, that the eyes and the heart of the Jewish people was stopped up, it was clogged from the enslavement, from the being enslaved by the Egyptians. So they were coming down to Egypt now. That Veyechi is that they're coming down to Egypt, and this is the beginning of the story of the slavery. So this is problematic. This answer doesn't make so much sense because nothing happened yet. Right now everything's good. Right now they didn't start becoming slaves until after Yosef died. Over here Yaakov's still alive. Yosef only died much later. So what does it mean exactly? The reason why this parsha is stuma is because they're coming down to Israel. It seems out of place. The second explanation that they give is that later in the parsha, so it says that Yaakov wanted to tell his children when Mashiach is going to come, and then his divine inspiration left him. So because his nevuah, because his prophecy was nistam, it was clogged up. So that's why this parsha is stuma. Okay, and this explanation is also very difficult because that's not what happens here. That's a story in the middle of the parsha. But why should the beginning of the parsha be stuma? So he says that really the source of the stuma, the reason why it's stuma, the real reason, which is the deeper understanding of the other two reasons, is that this question, that how could it be that Yaakov comes to his greatness specifically through the land of Egypt, Or in other words, that why, in order to reach greatness, do you have to go through darkness? So that is an inyan sasum. That is something that we cannot understand. And he explains this is actually hinted to in the idea of stuma, because it says in Veyechi. It says in Veyechi that what's the idea of having the revach ben adveka? Why is the idea that you have paragraphs? Why did Hashem tell, when Moshe Rabbeinu, when he was telling him how to write the Torah, why does he write paragraphs? Why does he have the spaces? So he says that the purpose of the Midrash says the purpose of the spaces is that you should have time to think. You have time to think. You have time there's time to speak, and there's time to just be silent and just let it sink in. There's it's a rhythm. Sometimes there's without the spaces, so then you don't get it. And so this is something that defies logic. That the fact that the only way that Yaakov Avinu could reach Shleimus is only by being in Egypt, that's something that it makes no sense. So don't even bother thinking about it. If you're going to think about it, you're not going to get anywhere. So that's why it's stuma. Pashas stuma is that the fact that in order to reach greatness, you have to go through darkness. You have to get to this place of where you don't see Hashem. So that is something which is sasum. That is something that we cannot understand. And this is something that we've spoken about before. That it's a crazy part of reality that beautiful people are not born beautiful. That there's a strange reality that if you think of anybody that you look up to, anybody that you admire, anything that you emulate, and you think about their life, so did they have to go through something? Did they have some big struggle? Did they have some kind of trauma in their life? Did they have some kind of loss that they had to overcome? So they did. It's completely impossible. It's completely impossible that somebody that is actually an amazing person, that they just were like that. It's just that there's no such thing. And this is something that doesn't make any sense. It's something that I don't know. I really don't know. Why does Hashem make this reality? Why does Hashem make this reality that you can't be an amazing person without having to go through something bad? But that is the reality. And this is the inyan sasum. This is the Parshat stuma. Is that it's completely impossible to become an amazing person. It's completely impossible to reach greatness without having to go through something horrible. Okay, to go without kind of trauma. So it doesn't matter what. There's a lot of different options. but the common denominator is that anybody that ever was a great person had to deal with something difficult. Okay, and so this is something that is we need to embrace the fact that this is a part of reality, and embracing the fact that it's part of reality gives us a better perspective on life. There's a famous teaching from Rabbi Nachman. Rabbi Nachman writes in Chelik Beis, Torah Memches. It's easy to remember because Memches stands for Michtav Chizuk. Yeah, this is Rabbi Nachman's Chizuk for us. That he writes how there's a certain reality. He also doesn't explain why it's like this. There's a certain reality that after Hashem shows a person a certain amount of closeness, a certain amount of inspiration, so afterwards the derech is that he shows him detachment. Afterwards he shows him distance. He makes it feel like he's not getting anywhere. And this is what a person needs to know, that a person could feel like I want to come close. I want to get somewhere with my relationship with Hashem. I want to reach some level of kedusha, some level of holiness, and I'm trying, and I'm really giving it my all, and I'm waiting for some reciprocation, and I'm dying for reciprocation. I'm dying for the feeling of closeness. I'm dying for the feeling of accomplishment, and I'm not getting it, and it's so easy to give up. It's so easy to give up, and that's why he's telling us that this is the reality, that this is the way it is, and just don't give up. And he says about himself that he was trying to come close to Hashem for years, not just weeks, not just months, for years, he says, and he was just getting no feeling of closeness. And the only way that he succeeded was because he didn't give up. And in this Torah, this is where he writes his famous line, that action gadol b'avodas Hashem, that a person has to be very stubborn. To be very, very stubborn. Let nothing change your mind. You have to just make a decision and just hold by your decision. And because that if you're gonna just be a pushover, going to be a wimp, be a loser. That like as soon as things don't go your way, so then you say, okay, I'm going to try a different religion. So then you're never going to get anywhere. And the only way is to be stubborn. The only way is to make a decision and know that just because I'm not feeling it, so I'm not giving up. And he writes, this is not only him. He writes that he spoke to many, many tzaddikim. Every single tzaddik that he ever met told him the same thing. That they were trying, and they felt like, wow, I'm never going to get anywhere. And because they were stubborn, because they didn't give up, that's the only way that they reached their greatness. And so this is something that a person needs to mamish keep in mind. That, like Nachman said, that later in life, he said if only I would have known, if I would have known how great I would make it, then it would have been so much easier. That like when you're down, so like you never know what's the like how great it's going to be, and the trick is that when you're down, that to keep stubborn. Like Rabbi Yaakov Galinsky, he was a big tzaddik that lived in Bnei Brak. He said once that like he was in Siberia for a year and a half, and so he said he was like, and he didn't know if he was going to live or die. He didn't know if he was going to ever get out of there. He didn't. And if somebody, like, imagine somebody would have whispered in his ear, like when he was like that he was working in Siberia, it's freezing to death, and somebody's going to whisper in here, I want to tell you a secret. 70 years from now, you're going to have a problem. You know what your problem is going to be 70 years from now? That your granddaughter's wedding is on Tuesday in America, but your great-grandson's bris is on Monday before. So what are you going to do? How are you going to make it? That's going to be your problem. If he would have whispered this in his ear when he was a kid in Siberia, so he would have laughed, and he would have like that's not funny. Why are you making fun of it? Why are you laughing? It's so. And if a person is in the down, so you have no idea what it's going to be. But that's the whole thing. That when you're down, when you're not feeling it, so that is really what makes your connection. So this is a crazy important part of being a Jew, is the ability to keep devoted when you're not feeling it, like when it's not easy. And Rabbi Nachman has a story about this. Rabbi Nachman has a story called Ma'aseh Me'abedas Bas Melech, the story of the last princess. And the story of the last princess, so it has two parts. There's two parts of the story of the last princess. The first part is that Rabbi Nachman explains this is the story of how to find your neshama, the purpose of why we're in this world, what our existence is all about. And he says that there's two parts to the story. The first part is that the princess is in a place called the land of the no good. And when she's in the land of the no good, so then his mission is a mission of yearning. That he needs to be completely obsessed with the princess. But then after she's in the land of the no good, so then the narrative changes, and then she goes to a new place. She goes to a place which is called the Mountain of Gold and the Castle of Pearls, and in the second place that the princess is in the Mountain of Gold and Castle of Pearls. So then he finds that these people are just trying to talk him out of it. And he's trying to find the princess, and he finds these giant men, and all these giant men that they're greater and greater, and they're sophisticated people, and they're all telling him, there's no such thing. There is no Mountain of Gold and Castle of Pearls. It doesn't exist. They muddled your mind with nonsense, and everybody's telling him that he's crazy. Everybody's telling him that there's like, give it up already. Like you're sweet. I like the idea that there's a princess somewhere and a Mountain of Gold. It doesn't exist. There's no such thing. Like when you come back after Israel, and they say like this is the real world. Over here we don't believe in those heebie-jeebie stuff. We don't believe in this fuzzy feelings. I'm close to Hashem. Like give it up already. Like that's for your bubble and Sam. That's not for real life. This is a different challenge. This is sometimes that you're not feeling it, and everybody's telling you that they muddle your mind with nonsense. And there's a different avodah, and there's a different mission, and there's a different thing that we need to work on, and that is that when you're not feeling it, when you're feeling disconnected, and we're feeling that I'm ready to give up, just keep that commitment, to be stubborn, keep on trudging through, and not to give up. So this is with the Parshat of the Stuma, is that the only way to reach greatness is only if you have those days that are not going, the days which are that it's not going to be rosy and you're still doing it. And so now there's something that like we said, it's a Parshat of the Stuma that we're not supposed to understand, that I don't know, that it could be that there is something a little bit, like to try to like talk about around the idea, to try to understand a little bit. I'll tell you a story that I heard from Moshe Weinberger. He said this just very recently. I heard this from him on Yad Kislev, came to B'nai Homa, that you were there. So he told the Meredith a story that one year in Regine, so there was a crazy thing that the thousands of Hasidim came to the Rishner for Purim, and like they're all sitting at the tish, and like he's sitting there, and nobody knew why, but like he was just not there, like he was like putting his head down on the table, and like he's not smiling, he's not laughing, not looking at anybody. He looks annoyed, and like they're all like I don't know. They assume that there's some horrible gzera, that he sees that there's a horrible decree on the Jewish people. I don't know what, and so like, and it's like. It's depressing. Like they're waiting the whole year to see the Rishner and Purim, and so the Rishner, he had a batchen, he had like a jester, he was the official guy to make jokes, and so the batchen, so he gets up and he says and he starts with his best routine, and everybody's cracking up except the Rishner. The Rishner is like staring at him, like. What do you want? And he's like, he's going crazy, and he just keeps on going, and then like at some point he does a crazy thing. He does a crazy thing that he walks over to the Rebbe. He jumps onto the table right next to the Rebbe. He's looking down at the Rebbe, and he's already drunk quite a bit himself, and he goes, he said, Rebbe, there's something I want to tell the Rebbe Alain. Something I want to tell you. That there was once a tzaddik named Rav Tali Rapshitzer, and at Rav Tali Rapshitzer, he was a good tzaddik. That everybody came to him, and there was simcha v'sas, and everybody was dancing, everybody was happy. He was a really happy guy. He was a jolly guy. He was always making jokes, and by the Rapshitzer, so life was good. You had Olam Hazeh. You had this world, everything was happy, everything was jolly, and you had Olam Haba. The person after Achmei Esrim, so you go to the next world, and they say, who are you? He says, I'm a student of the Rapshitzer. I say, oh, the Rapshitzer, okay, please, b'vakasha, go, you're going straight to Olam Haba. But then you have the Rishner. What do you have? What do we get from you? We don't have Olam Hazeh. It's Tisha B'Av here. We came to have Purim, and it's Tisha B'Av, and well, what's going to be in Olam Haba? We're going to go to the world to come, and they're going to say, "Who are you?" He says, "I'm a student of the Rishner." He says, "Oh, that depressed guy." and so the Rishner looks up to him, and he says, "I don't need you. Go away. I didn't ask you to come here. Go." And so like the people in their seats, they're starting to get up. They're not sure. Like they're yes, no, and he looks up, says, "Go! I told you. I don't need you. Go away." And then the batchen. So he falls down. And he starts crying. And he crawls over to the Rebbe, crying. And he says, "Rebbe, I'll never leave you. I can never leave you. You're my life. You're the only truth." And this is the amazing story. This is what commitment is. This is what commitment is. That I know that something is the truth, and I accept the fact that it doesn't have to be fun. I'm not in this because it's fun. I'm not in this because it's geschmack. I'm in this because of the truth, and because of the truth, I will never leave. I cannot leave. And so that is the purpose of, perhaps the part of the reason why the only reason to reach greatness is because it brings out this. There's a midah. One of the spheres is called netzach. Netzach means from the word victory. That it means to overcome anything. It means that I'm invincible. Netzach is that there is nothing that can stop me. And the only way that I can express my midah of netzach is only if I'm faced with these tests that are trying to stop me, and I say that no, I'm stubborn. There is nothing that's going to stop me, and so this is really the thing that we need from these like difficult times, from times of not feeling it, and this is really something that we find is a recurring theme. The recurring theme in this week's parsha, that later in the parsha, so there's the main theme of this week's parsha is the brachot, is the brachos, the blessings that Yaakov gives to the children. But interestingly, that before he gives a bracha to his children, he gives a bracha to his grandchildren. Okay? And so it's a very interesting thing that when Yosef comes to him, so he says, I want to give you a bracha. And he doesn't give him a bracha, he gives him a bracha to his grandchildren, to his children. And so the Panovich Rav said that the biggest bracha you can give to somebody is that his children should go in his path, so that they should have nachas from his children. There was a question, like in the 60s. In the 60s, there was this whole thing of there was this political thing that who is a Jew? They called, there was a whole discussion called who is a Jew, and it was all about like different disagreements about different conversions, are they valid, are they not valid, and so the question is who is a Jew, and like people wanted to like how can you call me not a Jew? And like there was people that wanted to say like just if you identify as a Jew, and so like much later, so Rabbi Sachs said that there was a whole discussion about who is a Jew, that if I may say so, I have a different answer for who is a Jew. That if your grandchild is a Jew, then you're a Jew. That it's not that if you really want to be a Jew, let's see if you really think you're a Jew. Let's see what in 2 generations, like how Jewish your grandchildren are. If your grandchildren still think they're Jewish, then you're really a Jew. Like if how Jewish you are is so wishy-washy that like in 2 generations then like they don't care anymore, so then you're not really a Jew. He didn't mean halachically. He meant that like this is like to check ourselves. Like this is like if we want to consider ourselves Jewish, that are we so Jewish that the flame is going to be given over like over and over and over again. So he says, so he gives him a bracha. He gives him a bracha that b'cha yivarach Yisrael. He tells Yosef that people are going to bless their children through you. That they're going to bless every single father, every single Jewish father is going to bless his children. Every Friday night we do this. That Yisimcha Elokim K'fayim K'menashe. So the question is how is this? Why is this blessing? Why is this the special blessing? Why is this the special thing that we want every child to be Ephraim and Menashe? And what's special about Ephraim and Menashe? Wouldn't it make more sense to say that like Avram Yitzchak Yaakov? We bless girls that they should be like Sarif Gerach Chavalea, like they should be like the matriarchs. That it should be symmetrical. So different explanations. There's one explanation from the Bnei Yissaschar. Yissaschar says that there's something beautiful about the brotherhood of Ephraim and Menashe is that they didn't have jealousy from one another, and that's something it was the first time. It was the first time they didn't have you didn't have a rivalry between brothers. The first pair of brothers that we find that didn't have a rivalry. That the first we have Kaya didn't have and we have Yitzchak and Yishmael, and we have Yaakov and Esav, and we have Yosef and his brothers. The first time that we have brothers that don't have rivalry is Ephraim and Menashe, and that's the bracha. But I saw a different explanation from Rav Aaron Lichtenstein, that when he was so impressed, the reason why he was so impressed with Ephraim and Menashe was that Ephraim and Menashe, where did they grow up? They grew up in Egypt. Right? This is the first generation, his own children. So he brought them up. He brought them up that he knew that they were a tribe. They were their own cult, their own chamula, and it was somewhat of a bubble. They had certain values, they had certain terrors, there's certain avira, a certain environment that he was trying to give over. And when you're living it's a positive social environment. The most the social environment is such a crazy thing. It's sometimes it's that's in a certain sense that's what's so beautiful about going to yeshiva and Sam is that there's social pressure to be good. Okay, if you go to the right yeshiva or something. And that when you're on your own, so that there's a social pressure to be secular, and you have to go against the current. Once when yeshiva and Sam, it's the opposite. There's a social pressure to be holy. That's amazing. And he sees in Ephraim and Menashe, so they grew up in a completely foreign environment, a completely secular environment, a completely pagan environment, completely immoral environment. And what's he see? He sees that they're good. He sees that these are holy God, they're holy kids. That they have their head on straight. And he's so impressed. What's your secret? How did you do it? How are you able to keep strong? And this is what he was so impressed with. That's the bracha. That's the bracha that I want every Jew for the rest of eternity to have. This is the bracha of invincibility. This is the bracha of eternity. This is the bracha of nitzchias. This is the bracha of living forever. That Judaism is never going to die as long as you don't not dependent on anything else. Okay? As long as this is what Rabbi Nachman writes. He says Echadai Avram. That the pasuk says that Echadai Avram, the pasuk in Yeshayahu, that Rabbi Nachman says that the Avram. So the Chazal say that Hu be'ever Echad. He was called Avram Ivri. Avram Ivri, who's from the Aver. From the Aver. What's it mean from the Aver? It's from the other side. What it means from the other side? So Chazal say, Hu be'ever echad, v'kol ha'olam be'ever sheni. That he is on one side, and the entire world is on the other side. That he's not dependent on anything. That I do my thing. I couldn't care less. The rest of the world should jump in a lake. And I have my values, and I'm sticking to my values. Okay? And this is what Rabbi Nachman says: the person has to be very strong. That even if everybody's telling you that you're crazy, that you stick to your truth, you stick to your values. You should trust somebody. There's a problem. Some nanachs specifically. They're nobody's gonna tell me what to do. It's I'm gonna really just do whatever I want. You need to have some people that you trust. If you don't have anybody to trust, then you're really mishuggah. But not to be dependent on society. And that's what it means, Echad Avram, to have this ability to say that I'm going to be me, even if everyone is telling me that this doesn't work here, this isn't the way it works in Russia, this is not the way it works in America, and this is what keeps Judaism alive. Is the flame that can never be extinguished. That you have people that they were in communist Russia and they were in Meister Nefesh, they were mamish giving up their lives, they're risking their lives to keep Judaism, and people that in Auschwitz that are risking their lives to keep Judaism. That I don't care. Nobody's going to tell me that this is a thing of the past. Nobody's going to tell me that I don't need to keep to my values. This is my truth, and nothing's going to stop me. So the value of Ephraim and Menashe was that they had the ability to keep strong, even though there was nothing supporting them. Okay, and this is being able to be in the darkness and to keep on going, to keep on trudging along, even if there's no supporting environment. And the truth is that this is also that after he gives the brachas to Ephraim and Menashe, then he starts giving the brachas to his 12 sons. And there's a very fascinating thing that when it says that he gave his 12 sons brachas. It says Ish kebrichato berachotam. He gave 12 brachas to his 12 sons. And if you look at the psukim, it's not so clear that these are brachas. It's not so clear that he's giving everybody blessings. That to some of them, Reuven, he says that you're impulsive. You're impulsive. You mess up a lot because you're so impulsive. And then he goes to Shimon and Levi, next two sons, and he says, "Ara apam ki az." They're angry people. They're angry people that I don't want to be mentioned with them. They're not exactly my style. He was upset at the fact that they took revenge with Dinah, that they killed Shechem, and so says "B'seida maltava kvaidi," that I don't want to, and then Yehuda, then Yehuda comes. He says Yehuda was like scared. He says, "No, Yehuda, you're good." You're good. And like with some of the he calls them names. He calls them that you Yisachar, you're like a donkey. and the Naphtali, he's an ayala. He goes on all different. He calls them animals, and to some of them he's giving curses. Others he's giving rebuke. So how is this a bracha? How is this a bracha? So there's a very beautiful. So there's a very beautiful teaching, from Mepharsh, and that is that really the truest bracha, the greatest, the deepest blessing the person could have is self-awareness. And the person to know what is my secret, to know what is my algorithm, what's my mechanism, that what makes me tick, that is actually the greatest blessing. And so people like what am I doing wrong? It's an amazing blessing. People like pay Tony Robbins how much does it take an hour? Like $20,000 an hour, and what do you think he's telling you? He's telling you what you're doing wrong. People appreciate it. That's what I'm paying you for. I'm not paying you $20,000 to tell me that I'm telling you $20,000 to tell me that keep it up, good going. You just you come to me. I'll tell you. I tell you good going. That I'll do it for free. Yeah? So that the greatest blessing is to know. The greatest blessing is to know that what do I need to overcome. That's actually the greatest blessing. What's holding me back? What's holding me back from my greatness? That the commentaries explain that we said before that when we were all around him, so he says, I'm going to tell you what's going to happen at the end of days. And then he starts giving brachos. It's like, whoa, what happened? Didn't you just tell me that you're going to tell us what's going to happen when Mashiach comes? And so Chazal say that he had a certain nevuah, a certain prophecy. He was about to tell them, and then the nevuah left him. He couldn't remember. He couldn't remember what the nevuah was. He couldn't remember what's really going to happen at the end of days. And so what did he do instead? He taught them, I'm going to help you get there. I'm not going to tell you what's going to be, but I'm going to give you what you need to get there. And that the thing that you need to overcome, that's the brachas. The brachas is to know what are your strengths, to know what is your weaknesses. So this is what's going to help you to achieve your greatness. Because if you don't know what you're dealing with, if you don't know what you need to overcome, then you're never going to achieve greatness. And so this is really we all have these things that we need to overcome, and the only way that we can reach our greatness is by overcoming these things. And so this is this inyan sasum, that this is Parshat Stuma, that we all have the things we need to overcome, and if we're not going to overcome them, so then we're going to lose. We're going to not be successful in life. There's a pasuk. There's a pasuk says Lo tov hayos adam levado. Hashem says when he creates Eve. So it says Lo tov hayos adam levado es lo ezer kenegdo. I'm going to make him a helper. So he says Lo tov hayos adam levado. It's not good. It's not good for a person to be alone. It's not good for a man to be alone. So Rav Hutner said once that the people misunderstand this pasuk. The people think that it means that it's not fun. It means you get lonely. It's like, how much fun could you have if you're going to amusement park by yourself? It's like, you should have fun. It's more fun. It's fun. He said that's not what it means. It's not the pshat. It's not the pshat that you would rather have a partner to watch reruns of Friends episodes, and that but what's the pshat? That if you never get married, So then you don't. Then you create this like echo chamber that you never need to face your darker sides. And until you get married, you actually never know. You never have these like inner struggles of the wow, I didn't realize that I need to have my way. There's like this true story that the guy came to his rabbi and he says that I'm finished, I need to get divorced. So what's the problem? Rabbi, you don't understand. We're just different. That I fold and she twists. He says, what are you talking about? So he says, well, no, toothpaste. What do you do? What do you do when there isn't so much toothpaste left. So I think that you're supposed to fold it. And my wife, she doesn't fold. She twists, and I can't take it anymore. I can't. I wake up in the morning and I see that she twisted the. I can't. And so a person could.
Thank you. Bye.
A person could live his whole life, and when you're by yourself, then you can have everything the way you like. That when you're by yourself, when you're single, you can live your entire life that having everything the way you like.
But isn't that what children also?
And this is what?
Isn't that what children are for?
Also, but even before children, that when you get married, then suddenly you realize that I didn't realize that I have this jealousy. I didn't realize that I have this anger. I didn't realize that I have this there's these all these weird feelings that I never knew. I never knew I had these midos that I had to work, and that's what it means leitov. That's the goodness. The goodness is that finally all of these negative traits are bubbling up, and once they bubble up, then you can conquer them, and then you'll be tov. And until these negative traits you bubble up, that you can become aware of them, then you're never going to be good. You're gonna I've seen this. I remember I was once. You can see this. So sometimes they have people that they older people that never got married. They never got this sensitivity to other people. They never got this the realization that there's more other people in the world than me. When you're single, when you're living by yourself, living by yourself for a long time, you get to feel that whatever I want, and it's such a beautiful thing that's what it means leitov. So it's specifically through the knowing what my faults are, knowing what my challenges are. That's what brings me to greatness, and this is the only way to come to greatness. And so this is at the very end of the parsha. So this comes up once again, and that is that we have the most amazing thing that Yosef forgives his brothers. The Yosefs that they confront him, and they make up the story that our father, so before he died, so he asked that you should forgive us for selling you to Egypt. And so Yosef tells them that don't worry about it. Don't worry about it. I'm not in Hashem's place. I'm not Hashem. That atem chashavtem alei ra. You had bad intentions. But Elokim chashav alei tova. Hashem, he knew that what you were doing was actually for good. That lahachyes amrav, that he took the fact that I came to Egypt, and look what came out of it. That this entire shefa, this entire abundance that came to Egypt, it's all because you sold me to Egypt. If you wouldn't have sold me to Egypt, then wouldn't have had all this abundance. And really on a deeper level. So he was saying that you think that this is a bad thing, that it's all part of something bigger. It's all part of something, because really, the reason why he needed to be sold in slavery is because the only way that the Jewish people would be worthy of being the nation that receives the Torah is only because they came out of Egypt. And the only reason why they became enslaved in Egypt is only because that the brothers sold Yosef into Egypt. That's why Yaakov came to Egypt. That's why it all started from this They had no idea what they were doing. They thought that they were just being vengeful, but really they were fulfilling Hashem's plan of making the Jewish people ready to be the Jewish people. There's there's something that I don't know who he was quoting from, but I heard from Rabbi Klatzko that why are we the chosen nation? Why did Hashem choose us? Why did Hashem choose us? That we're his ambassadors. That we're the only people that he can have a deep relationship with too. And he says, what's special about the Jewish people? Because we were the only nation at the time. We were the only nation that were slaves for 210 years. It's what was special about us is that this is what was special about us. That the fact that we were out of Egypt, that we were slaves, and because we were slaves in Egypt, so that's why that we understand what it feels to be afflicted, and that's why we know what evil is all about, and that's why part of the Jewish mission is to eradicate evil from the world. And the only way that we can know how bad evil is, that we should be as passionate about destroying evil, the only way that we can really know how passionate, how disgusting evil is because we experienced it for 210 years. And that's, so we needed to be afflicted, we needed to have to go through this in order that we should be able to fight it, in order that we should be able to fulfill our mission of life. And so this on a deeper level, so this is a secret that we will never really understand the bottom of it, and that why in order to be great do you have to go through tough times? And this is the Parshat Stuma, but it is a reality, and knowing that it is a reality is something that gives us strength and gives us hope and helps us to be stubborn, helps us to go through these tough times, understanding that it's not about, life is not about being rosy. That life is not about just the good times. That when the good times are here, so we should appreciate them, and we should enjoy them, and we should keep focused. We shouldn't take them for granted. But when things are not good, so we should know that now I'm becoming something bigger. Now I'm growing. Now I'm reaching where I need to reach. Now I'm reaching my potential, and I'm becoming what I was really meant to be. And I'm really blossoming. I'm really going to come out of my cocoon into a beautiful butterfly, B'ezrat Hashem. So l'chaim, chazak v'nitchazek. That this should be a reminder that all the hard times should be a little bit easier, B'ezrat Hashem.